Thanks for staying with us here on TVC Breakfast. It's now time for us to link up with Eshomamo Imodu, who is standing by in Abuja for FCT Brief. Good morning, Eshomamo. How is Abuja this morning?
Good morning, Ibrahim. Abuja is quite fine. And I think just like you guys in Lagos are celebrating, here in Abuja also, people are celebrating the nomination of the ex-Chief of Defense Staff as the incoming Minister of Defense. Closely related to what we'll be discussing today, agriculture, farming, and food supply is security. And I think it goes in line. Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to FCT Brief. Now, in recent weeks, many Nigerians have observed a gradual drop in food prices across several markets, sparking conversations about the effectiveness of the agricultural reforms rolled out by President Bola Tinubu. As households continue to navigate economic adjustments, the big question is, are these price changes a sign that current agricultural policies are beginning to yield tangible results? The administration's drive toward food security is centered on boosting local production, empowering smallholder farmers, expanding mechanization, and tackling key bottlenecks across agricultural value chain. From fertilizer subsidies to renewed focus on irrigation and dry season farming, analysts are assessing whether these interventions are strong enough to sustain the emerging decline in food prices and reshape food's ecosystem for the long term. And to help us review these developments and examine how the farming community views government's efforts, we are joined this morning by Ibrahim Gaba, the National Publicity Secretary of the All Farmers Association of Nigeria. He will be providing insights into what is driving the current price trends and what more needs to be done to further stabilize food production across the country. It's nice to have you here this morning.
Thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much. Now, let's start this way. Just yesterday, the president nominated the former defense chief as the incoming Minister of Defense. And closely related to food supply and agriculture is security. Some people have described it as a round peg in a round hole. I want you to share your thoughts with us on this.
Well, first, let me start by commending Mr. President. Several times I come here, Eshomomo, I always say that we have a commander-in-chief who is very assertive, and at the same time somebody who is focused on delivering good governance. So bringing back former CDS Christopher Musa, for us, I think is more like trying to re-strategize. Imagine the time he left office as Chief of Defense Staff. We have pockets of, violence, and we have pockets of banditry, and we see the upsurge in insecurity across some parts of the country. So, and Nigerians rally around claiming that it is time you put square pegs in square holes. I'm not disclaiming the fact that the former Minister of Defense, Badaru, didn't do well, but he may not have a grip on the security architecture, not having a military background. Give it to the politicians, they will scramble for offices at the end of elections and all that. You are looking at quota system, and you are looking at people that have, records in governance and all that. But the security architecture is not something you toy with by handling it, already handing over to someone based on trial and error. You need experts in the field, and to me, former CDS, somebody I've known from close range, I think is the game changer.
All right, he's the game changer. You are a farmer, and you must have had a lot of people talk about the decline in food prices. And we're entering the Yuletide season where markets will be busy. People will be trooping out to the market to buy foodstuffs, and now the prices are falling. Help us understand. Is this a product of the policy reforms of Mr. President? Or what do you think? Or increase by your farmers in the food supply chain?
I think if I look at some of the policies of the federal government under this administration, some need to be queried, because it's not about additional policies, it's about what you do so that it can be assessed by the major stakeholders. That is, how would they interpret these policies? You don't force down policies on people. Rather, you give it time to grow. I'll give you an example. When the subsidy was removed, a lot of Nigerians, especially his opponents that came along, queried, or rather raised eyebrows that it's wrong timing, that you don't just start it, you don't just remove subsidy. So the same thing is happening in the agri space. Recently, there was the issue about importation of food items, to cushion the effect of food prices and all that. Look, Eshomomo, I will tell you this for free, that in agriculture, especially in Nigeria today, we have enough food to feed the nation. The problem is that the cost of farming inputs, or rather farm inputs like fertilizer, pesticide and all that, is on the high side. So farmers, they have no option but, to bring out some of this produce to sell at a very cheaper prices. In the long run, what will happen is going into the new year, you may find out that the prices must definitely go up again. But if you sell out of stock, what do? You still go back to buy more. So the farmer that is selling his produce now is desperate to raise money to meet other basic needs. Okay. It's too early for us to celebrate the fact that, yes, food prices are crashing. You are in Nigeria. Between January and June, you know what happened. The food prices went up because the produce had not yet out in some parts of the country. So, but what we keep saying to the federal government is, it's not about importation, to, cushion the effect. It's about looking at what we have, because you need to tackle the case of banditry first. You need to tackle the case of haulage, because moving goods from point A to B is usually expensive. So cumulatively, people, I want you to take a drive, maybe, do some research, independent research, to find out whether this thing is true or not. People are being forced to move these produce to the market. I'll give you an example. If you go to places like the Northeast, where the incidences of this insecurity are high, you find out that very few farmers go to the farm. Go to Zamfara today. You find out the bandits are taking over the farmlands.
So if I get you right,
yes,
the food supply and the productivity of the farmers have increased.
It has increased, but majorly the point is that they are desperate to sell this produce.
So you will need policies now that will help to cushion or the link between what they produce and the next season of harvest.
Yes.
You will need policies that can help manage what the farmers get.
I don't want us to be using the words policies. Okay. Because the federal government, I know they have sat down severally to look at areas they can improve so that food prices, will be affordable for the Nigerians. Right?
Yeah.
That's been happening. But at our level, that is why in our association, we deliberated more on this. Between July, when we had these issues, court cases here and there, when we were given the relief to go fully discussing with agriculture with our farmers across board, in all local governments of the Federation, it is an agreement that, look, it is time for us to partner with the private sector, partner with the federal government, so that every stakeholder involved will come up with solutions. And we're beginning to see the light of day. So there's a disconnect between the federal government, the farmers, and the implementers of these policies. So until the real farmers are involved, this temporary relief you are saying in terms of food prices crashing, it will spiral in January. And the year is just close by. You see that happen.
So largely this reduction in price is more because of importation to cushion the pain.
One is more of importation. Two, farmers are desperate to sell their produce. Three, as it stands now, people are trading in losses. I can tell you. And that will lead to inflation again. So that is why all we are saying is that let us come back to the drawing board. You need to sit down with the farmers. Listen to them, because we don't have an interface. Who is speaking for the farmers? And that is why at our level it's okay. Let us generate information from across board. Every stakeholder must be involved. Let us find a permanent solution to this. Have you forgotten that Mr. President traveled all the way to Brazil to seek for loans for about $1.something billion for farmers. I think the Niger State governor, confessed to that, or rather testified to that, a loan of $1 billion was, was gotten for the Niger State government and all that. So it's not about loan. It's about providing technical support for the farmers. We must go full-scale mechanization.
Okay, we'll come
improve
back.
Seedlings and all that.
Okay, we'll come back to the full-scale mechanization. But quickly, let's pay some bills. We'll be right back after this timeout. Just stay with us.
Fulfills its promise to restore ginger processing.
Okay, welcome back now. If you just join us, we've been talking about agriculture, and here we have the Publicity Secretary of the All Farmers Association. Now, we left off discussing the, you said mechanization, but the government says that smallholder farmers are the backbone of its reform, and they're very key. Now, how integrated are these smallholder farmers to the mechanization tool? Because when you say we want to go full-blown mechanization, do they have access to all this, or it's just left to the large-scale, those that are called large-scale commercial farmers?
The way you say large-scale commercial farmers, I think let us look at it in totality. The farming population which we have, especially the smallholder farmers, these are the people that are involved in the real farming business, because they're the one that till the land, they're the one that ensure that this is nurtured up to the stage of harvest and all that. But we are taking further steps beyond that, which is training and retraining of farmers, because some of these mechanization processes, you need to train these farmers, especially the use of pests, the use of farming inputs like fertilizer, because we are seeing modernizations. With this, the farmers are beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And if you go to some of these villages across the nation, you find out that farmers now are beginning to, go into full mechanization. We have tractors supporting the farmers, and at the same time, there are advocacies going on across the nation. And that is why I will tell you that it has been effective for us because of what the toll-free lines we provided for our farmers. Okay. We are beginning to have an interface with them. And we're also working with state governments, local governments, and all that. And that is why, it comes to mind all these things we're talking about. How do we aggregate? And, everybody wants to be honored. Everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be rewarded. And it's not just an association of farmers. We also take extra effort to identify those who are doing well, especially within the government circle, and those who are yet to catch up with the trend, because you cannot separate, these from governance. We're in government, and we have, for the first time, someone who is passionate about agriculture, Mr. President, by creating two different ministries. Livestock is different, agriculture is different. And the overall objective is for Nigerians to farm, go back to the farm, so that we can have enough yields. For me, we're beginning to see these policies of government trickling down, but implementation is very, very slow because there's no connectivity between the farmers and the policy implementers. So if we want to really aggregate and make impact to see better results, there's a need for a synergy between both parties. I think this is where we should be driving
at what point do we talk about this synergy? Is it at the ministerial level, connecting with your association, or going directly to talk with the farmers? Do you have direct access to the farmers without going through your association?
We are the custodian of all farmers and commodity
So let us know, what has it been like? Is there this
relationship has been a little bit frosty over the years, but we've been making efforts to reconcile, because who feel this brunch? The real farmers, because the ministry cannot interface directly with the smallholder farmers and even the large-scale farmers. What people are investing their money from their pockets, but they need something that will serve as a cushion effect. If, for instance, you purchase a bag of fertilizer to 50,000, 60,000 naira, how many do you need for 1 hectare of land? You need about 10 bags That is about 500,000 naira.
How accessible is this?
How accessible is this? Sometimes you pay for fertilizer, it doesn't come until after 6-8 months. Between January and September this year, the one federal government release, has it gotten to the real farmers? And most time you find out that it's politicized. Okay, let me give it to the governors, or let me give it to my ministerial friends and all that. And that is why I was okay, fine. The best way out of this is let us have a synergy, a working relationship whereby we can interface with each other. We have been talking about this for too long. And that is why we say we're always calling on government soon. It's time for us to work together as a team. And we're having other issues that are bothering the association, which is the fact that some splinter groups are emerging.
Exactly. I was going to come to that because
Yes.
if we talk about policies of government,
Yes.
When even the association is divided, then it becomes difficult because you're placing the government in difficult condition.
Yes.
Who do I support?
Who do I
Because there are
support?
splinter groups. So why is it difficult for the farmers to put their house together?
Good. It's difficult because, one, some people felt they are above the law, so they can break down, they can, go into any act that will lead to the breakdown of law and order. Constitutionally, you are empowered to run an office for 5 years. Upon expiration, you vacate the office pending the determination of the Congress of Farmers, because every year there is a Congress of Farmers, General Assembly of Farmers. They determine whether you stay or you leave. But we found that despite the fact that there is a system on ground, some other splinter groups, do I call them political bandits? They invaded our space, claiming that now they are the real farmers, they are the association. And don't forget that this case has been before the courts. And law-abiding citizens, our leader, our mentor, Dr. Farouk Rabi Modi, always issue one statement. Please, let us go by the rule of law. This is the only way out. And I can tell you, Mr. Oshomo, as at last week, we're able to identify some of these splinter groups. And the police, the DIG, Inspector General of Police, have taken action. And I can tell you, look at this. This is a report we got last week. You understand, about 7 of them have been arraigned, and they are going to face the consequences of their action. You understand? So this is why it's becoming difficult for government to interface with the real farmers.
So it's not totally the blame on government.
No. The government is exonerated because I like what Mr. President is doing. When there's a crisis situation, he stay back. Let the law determine, the cause of action.
Who is the authentic?
Who is the authentic? And I can tell you for sure that in the next one, we issue our press releases. And it's so unfortunate that some of our friends in the media never take time to do research or ask questions. They are quick to rush information to the public space.
Mr. Gaba,
it's dangerous for
we have a lot of issues we are fighting in Nigeria.
Yes.
We have the insecurity we're trying to handle, and also government is making several efforts to ensure that agriculture is fixed, because when you talk about employment generation, it is very key. And when you talk about food supply, that is where it's coming from.
Yes.
But if you have taken some of your members to the court, you call them splinter group, will that bring an end to the crisis? Now, once you're divided, it's difficult for you to be able to rally everybody together. So beyond taking them to court, are there peace moves that you are taking for the sake of agriculture, for the sake of food supply, to bring everybody on board?
Let me say this thing to you, Shaman. Last week, there was a summon by the Inspector General of Police that these splinter groups must be called. We were called. We were at the police FID. And evidences were tendered and questions were asked. And I found that even their counsel began to suffocate. Their members, they even printed posters, they are going for election, and results have been announced and all that. And questions were asked, was there any Congress? Is there any vacancy that was created before going for election? So on this, I would like to tell you that as law-abiding citizens, we don't take up arms. We believe that the judiciary which we have today and the Nigerian police, which we have, we believe in the rule of law. And the judiciary is doing its best to nip this thing in the bud. Beyond that, we have taken several steps. Okay. Like I told you, we have an agenda, which is the General Assembly of Farmers. What is the General Assembly of Farmers? A congregation of all executives of farmers. They are asking questions. They want to come together. What is the way forward for the federal government?
Okay, talking about the way forward for the federal government and for the farming community.
Yes.
Let's quickly go on a break, and when we come back, we'll delve more into that on how to ensure that we have adequate food supply in Nigeria. Please stay with us. You're welcome back. Now, if you're just joining us, we've been focusing on increasing food supply and also the decline in the cost of foods in the market. Now, you were talking about the General Assembly. I'd like us to look at the Congress of Farmers. How critical is this Congress in ensuring that we have continuous food supply and further decline in the price of foodstuffs?
Thank you very much. This is something that has been created in such a way that all major critical stakeholders are involved to take decisions on behalf of the Nigerian farmer and the Nigerian community. And the biggest step is, one, we have very influential people coming into the agri space now at the state level, at the local level. And to surprise you to know that ever since we took this decision, a lot of international organizations are coming in to invest in farming. Until you bring in investors, you cannot boost farming. And to do that, we have identified some people too at home that have been supporting farmers. So whenever you see farmers congregating, it's for a purpose. Let us reward those that have done well. From the state governors, because we haven't identified some within the 6 geopolitical zones. Why are we doing that? If you identify with someone for doing well, he will do better. Because we need to reward excellence. And to do that, we decide to even involve some international organizations so that they can do it independently.
Because of time,
yes.
We already have the decline in the cost of food prices.
Yes.
How can this be sustained?
It can be sustained if all the critical stakeholders are involved and supported.
The government is interested?
Government must be interested.
It's interested and showing the will.
And again...
And the farmer showing the will to ensure that it is sustained.
No, you see, the farmers determine everything. Because you don't expect me to go to the market and sell at your own price. It is at my own price. But what we need from the federal government right now is, one, subsidizing farming inputs, supporting imports, and at the same time supporting the farmers in any way possible so that these loans we are seeking for can reach the right farmers, not portfolio farmers. That is the missing link. The situation whereby loans or grants are given to politicians. Imagine somebody, as a senator coming, to request for loan from Bank of Agriculture or whatever. It does not all go well for economy. Yes, we don't stop you from farming, but come into the association. Let us identify you because we are the gatekeepers. We authorize you. We regulate the practice of farming in the country. So you cannot just get crushed and take what belongs to the farmers. And that is why, Shomo, we are finding it difficult to correlate and come up with a statistics, a data, a report that will be acceptable by the government and all the critical stakeholders. So until that is done, we're not going anywhere in this country. We are not attacking anybody. We are not against Mr. President. But we have said it before that we have seen somebody who is going to drive this economy to a successful destination. We are in support of Mr. President and his policy.
Just quickly before we go, talking about irrigation farming, we're in the dry season.
Yes.
How is the farming community embracing this technology to ensure that we have all year around production of foods?
You see, like I said earlier on, we have investors coming to the country. And what we're beginning to see now is improved seedlings. And we're beginning to see, yield, increasing yield. Because the new mechanization we're carrying right now is the fact that if before you are harvesting 80 bags, you see there's a possibility of getting up to 120 bags because of what? The improved inputs we're introducing to farmers today. So farmers are will be smiling into the bank in the new year if we aggregate, and at the same time, government give us all the support we need. We need funding, and at the same time, we need subsidy, we need loan. So with these, farmers next year, 2026, we are going to see better yields. We are going to see better, what do they call? We are going to see improvement, in the produce from the farms and all that. But we are not at war with the federal government. We are not at war with anybody. All we want to do is something that will be sustainable and something that will help the Nigerian economy to grow better than it is now.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ibrahim Gaba, National Public Secretary of the All Farmers Association of Nigeria. Now, I think one common thing you said, you want access to funding and all that. I hope the government is listening and it will be done. But you must also guarantee that this fall in food prices is sustained so that everyone can smile beyond this.
We assure you of that, 100%.
All right, thank you so much. Now, that is all we will take on to this edition of FCT Brief. Now, we'll hand you back to our colleague in Lagos, where Ibrahim will take charge from now.
Thank you very much, Eshomamo. Beautiful conversation you had with your guest there.